public hearing to order for June 18th, 2013. Roll call, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Here.
Jason Hood.
Here.
Bobby Martin.
Here.
Lamar Marshall.
Here.
Mike Williams.
Here.
Okay, first item is an ordinance for donation of surplus vehicle to be given to the Marshal's Office for serving of truancy paper for the Tangipahoa Parish School System. 1, 2003 Dodge Durango VIN number 1D48R38N43F550266A, unit number 559. Mr. Peters, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is a Gandy. We're trying to donate this vehicle to the Marshal's Office for truancy papers to serve truancy papers for the parish government. So therefore, it has come here for public hearing that we may be able to hopefully get any input there if there's any, and then we can move on from there.
Any questions from the council? Any public questions or comments on this item? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Peters. Number 2, an ordinance to authorize a waiver of ordinance number 2000-2692, city statute for the fiscal year 2013-2014 for employees as follows. Employees with service from 1 to 20 years, a 2% salary increase. Employees working from 21 to 30 years, a 1% salary increase. Employees working over 30 years and employees earning more than $75,000, a 1% increase. Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ordinance that you referred to, 2000-2692, is an ordinance that requires that a cost of living increase be granted. In lieu of the cost of living increase, we are asking in the budget, of which we will discuss in the next item, that raises for employees be considered as you had just indicated on the schedule.
Any questions from the council? Any public questions or comments on this item? Okay, thank you, sir. Move right on here to number 3, an ordinance to adopt the City of Hammond budget for the fiscal year 2013-2014 in accordance with procedures set within Section 5-03 of the City of Hammond Charter. Mayor Foster.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much to the council for the good work session that we had. In the work session, we did come out with some recommended changes from what was presented to the city council. And if I may, I'll just go over those changes briefly. It was recommended that MAG salary increases be approved for $21,300. That a recreation secretary be approved for $20,000, as well as recreation supplies for $3,000. It was recommended that a Kubota zero-turn rear discharge mower be approved for $15,000, and that a drainage project for Villa West be approved out of grant match fund for $50,000. Subsequent to that meeting, to the work session, there was another meeting with President Hood and Councilman Marshall, where there was a recommendation for an additional $18,000 for recreation programs be approved. The budget that you have tonight that has been put into all of your boxes do reflect that change, as well as the changes that were discussed in the work session. In addition to that, we are asking that the Recreation Department, the organizational chart, be amended to add the departmental secretary, which will be a part-time position, and that the positions under the recreation director will be the recreation supervisor, the youth coordinator, which will be a new position, and a seniors coordinator. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Mayor, quick question. The adding of the secretary, you want to do that as part of approving the budget?
The what, sir?
The recreation, the adding of the recreation secretary?
Yes, sir.
You want to add that as part of approving the budget?
If we could, because that would be part of the salaries that go into the recreation budget.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council on this item? Are there any public questions or comments on the adoption of the 2013-14 budget for the city? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move right into our regular scheduled meeting for June 18th, 2013. Roll call, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Here.
Jason Hood.
Here.
Bobby Martin.
Here.
Lamar Marshall.
Here.
Mike Williams.
Here. Mr. Peters, would you lead us in prayer, please? You feel like it tonight?
Yes. Let us pray. Eternal God, we come now at this hour today to thank you for your bountiful blessing. We thank you for every good and perfect gift. Now, God, we want to thank you that we come to the close of this fiscal year to embark on the new year. Lead and continue leading and guide us. Give us what we need in time like this. Then, oh God, continue to bless your creation. Those that war, remember those in our city here and cities that we're here. Be with us and guide us. Lead us in a plain path. Then, God, we have done all this peace.
Amen. Mr. Benefactor, would you lead us in pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any council reports? Anybody up? Okay, Mayor? you have
Yes,
a
sir.
report?
I have several. First of all, I want to thank the Keep Hammond Beautiful Committee. There were a total of 46 people that came out Saturday. 41 of those were volunteers, 5 were City of Hammond employees. They picked up 100 bags of trash. So, Vic, Mr. Couvion, good job. Thank you so much.
There's one great thing about this. We have about 25 of those volunteers from Hammond High back to junior high cheerleaders. They were really enthusiastic about 4 or 5 teachers came, but it's great to see young people out there.
Thank you. Also, I mentioned this at the last council meeting. The City of Hammond is working very closely with North Oaks Hospital to do a men's health seminar. This will be held next Tuesday, June 25th at the Michael J. Kinney Center. There will be 4 doctors to answer any questions that any gentleman might have concerning whatever issues gentlemen might have, including joint problems and other problems. We'll just leave it at that. Want to remind the council and the public that we will have fireworks again this year. We didn't have them last year. It'll be on July 3rd, which is a Wednesday. It'll be the day after our next council meeting. Thought it would be interesting also if I could give the council an update on the Future Leaders Youth Program that we have going on at the Michael J. Kinney Center. The report from Danielle Saucier is that there have been 139 kids total between the ages of 5 to 14, which are pre-K to the 8th grade, who have signed up, and there's been an average of 98 attending the camp every day. This has been a tremendous success, and I want to thank the council for the support on this program. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Are there any new businesses in the audience that'd like to be recognized?
Yes.
Come on up. Give us your name and address to the podium, please, ma'am.
I think everybody knew me.
We need it for the record, please.
I know. Lois Golden, 2800 Anderson Street, Hammond. I'll be opening a thrift shop. It's the next block, East Charles, 209 East Charles Street. And you all are welcome to come by. Hopefully we'll be doing a ribbon cutting on, you got the message, on June 28th.
You'll miss me.
Cut my ribbon?
What's the name of it?
Smart and Thrifty. Yeah.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Move right into old business, resolutions. Number 1, a resolution. I'm sorry, let me back up. Approval of minutes.
So moved.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, now we'll go to old business resolutions. Number one, a resolution to purchase 2 each Ford F-250 pickups from Bill Hood for $24,017 each, which is within the 3% guideline as allowable under Louisiana Revised Statute 39-17-10 for a total of $48,034 for the street department. And there are attachments. Mr. Peters.
This was the resolution we brought last week to purchase these off of state contract. Then after Councilman, through the direction of Councilman Williams, we came back and talked to Bill Hood Ford, and the Louisiana Revised Statute 39-17-10 allowed them to sell us that vehicle at a 3% increase, mainly for delivery purposes. So therefore, each vehicle will cost us $24,017, and that is with each within that is within the 3% variance that the statute allows.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Williams.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay, new business. Number one, a resolution levying a tax on all taxable property within the corporate limits of the city of Hammond for the year 2013. Public Works, 2.0 mils. General Fund, 9.04 mils. Police and Fire, 10 mils, for a total of 21.04 mils. Ms. Jenny.
Good afternoon. Well, it's that time of the year again. It is by law that the city of Hammond adopt the taxes for each year, and it's time to do that. We are not levying any new taxes. It is not a reassessment year. We're not rolling forward. We are simply adopting the same taxes that we adopted last year, and I am asking for your approval for 2013 for those.
Any questions or public comments on this item?
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Thank
Motion
you.
approved.
Number two, a resolution to ratify and award bids received 10 a.m. Tuesday, June 11th, 2013 for Hammond North Shore Regional Airport Phase 1 drainage improvements. Project number 420-11208. Mr. Spangler.
That's the wrong project number. That's a mistake. That should be 414-31308. 31308. It's because it's a grant.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to read fund number 414-308.
31308.
31308. Along with this guy.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion to amend approved.
Do you have hyperlink the bid summary?
Yes,
That's what
sir.
it looks like, and the bid tab. We had 9 bidders, very competitive bids. This is what the bid tab looks like. There were 40 bid items. We did 2 additive alternates, one of which, according to the bid summary, we have the funds within the, this is, by the way, it's 100% DOTD aviation grant. The mayor and Jason Ball worked hard to procure those funds, and we're finally going to take care of some of our flooding on 1331 on the northwest end that's caused so much trouble over the last few years since the runway really was extended. This will alleviate that, take care of some of the collapsed pipes under the runways. We're going to line some of those pipes. The low bidder was Lawson Bonet. The amount of, with base bid and additive alt number 1 is $985,132. The alt number 1, for your information, there's a double barrel 72-inch pipe we're laying across the end of runway 1331, and I wanted to put catch basins because that's a long way not to get into the pipe, be able to clean it, access it. So we have 2, giant catch basins, 18 by 9 by 8 feet. They're huge, and we put them as an additive alternate. And that is within our budget to put those 2 catch basins along that run, so we don't have this 660-foot stretch with no access. Alternate number 2 was to install a flowable fill, which is a kind of a slurry concrete that would go under the pipes. We have a lot of running sand, a lot of problems with the foundation, and the base bid is for limestone bedding, and alternate number 2 was flowable fill filling bedding, which is like $120,000. We didn't have the money to do that, but that's a great option if you can afford it, but we couldn't afford it. So we're only recommending base bid plus additive alternate number 1. And if you look at the bid, they were about $3,000 or $4,000 below Earl Price, so Richard Price Construction. It's a very close bid. We're ready to start. We have approval from the state. It does not have to be a conditional award, as my letter said a week ago. We got an email back from the aviation, Jason Dewey, the aviation project leader for Hammond Airport, saying go ahead and award, you can start to work. He'd work up the sponsorship papers and so forth. So we don't have to do a conditional award. This is a recommendation to award to the low bidder, Lawson Benet, for the base bid plus additive alternate number 1 in the amount of $985,132. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I think I mentioned it sometime before. Since we get a lot of bids, and my interest is still set aside for disadvantaged minorities. Are we eligible for that?
Well, this is Highway Department funds, and there is no set aside in Highway Department projects. I think that was struck down a few years ago. They no longer set aside for them. We do encourage them. We do send out bid notices to disadvantaged WBs and DBEs, and if they bid it, they bid it. I think a couple of these are DBEs or WBs, one or the other. But it's still taxpayers' money, and then the low bidder gets the job. And the top 2 are not. The third bidder was a DBE. Circle was a DB, but that's not our money, unfortunately. It's the taxpayers' money, so we have to award a little bit. I do appreciate what you're saying. We do solicit them. It's just, it's hard to do. I don't know why it's so difficult. I guess it's a ceiling to try to break through.
Councilman, to answer your question, if it is a federal project, we do have a federal mandated DBE goal that we have to strive to meet. I think 2 years ago when we redid it, we're up for another renewal. We'll redo it this year. But the last one was like a 9% or so DBE goal to be met. The last project we did not meet with the winning bidder, so the winning bidder had to submit a letter of good faith effort to meet it, and there was a conflict. They had to justify the letter, so we went through that to make sure that all disadvantaged businesses are participating and that they are contacted with federal money. But Chuck was right about the state. I just wanted to add that to answer your question.
You satisfied? Okay, so if somebody makes a motion, it would need to include the additive alternate number 1 for the record, for the award. If council so chooses.
Motion approved with the additive alternate number 1.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Thanks, Chuck. Number 3, resolution authorizing the mayor or the director of administration to enter into a contract with Media Care effective July 1st, 2013 for the purpose of providing health care to employees. Mr. Powell. Good afternoon.
Henry Powell, 110 West Morris, Hammond, Louisiana. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for having me tonight. What we're going to go over is a doctor visit program that we want to implement for the employees of the city that would allow them to have access to home visits and visits at work from a nurse practitioner for normal issues that would come along regarding sickness. The page shows kind of an overview, the first page of what the plan includes, and on the back gives some explanations of the things that are covered. The program is not insurance, and part of the reason for implementing something like this is to help save on our claims experience. When someone calls for a service, the nurse practitioner comes either to their workplace or to their home, provides the service. The employee at that point is either given an injection or medication and is diagnosed. And then the fee for that is $35, which is not collected at that time. It's just payroll deducted out of their check from a report each month. So there is no payment at the time of service. Is there any questions about that?
Yes, there is one question on that, Henry. When they make that, when the employee makes that payment, does that payment go towards their deductible?
No, sir. There is no insurance is involved here. So the payment is just strictly a payment that is payroll deducted from their check.
So that would mean that the employee would still have to meet their deductible cost, so it could be an increase.
Correct.
Cost of the employee.
If they went to a healthcare provider and it was filed through the insurance plan, that's correct.
However, though, Henry, is it not allowable to be used that $35 can be paid by the Benny card?
That is correct.
Which is the benefit card that an employee has.
That's correct. And part of this not only is to help save on the claims experience, but to also help save on the Benny card expenses, so we can lower those costs per visits. And if you look on that second page, I can give you a little bit of an overview of what we've accumulated in average cost. And this is based on Benny card spending. In 2012, the average cost for the general prac was $126.99. Pediatric was $64.04, and the after hours was $107. Now, pediatric care, we're not going to have a whole lot of that because they don't treat babies 18 months and below, and typically those visits are covered at 100% because they're well baby. Also, you'll notice there is no OB visits because OB visits do not qualify for the service. Okay, they would go to their OB doctor, and typically those well woman visits are covered at 100%. So that's why you don't see those on there. We had 115 ER visits, 239 after-hour visits, and those are the kind of visits that we want to try to eliminate. For total combined cost for doctor, ER, after hours, and RX of $575,000 total paid claims. And that accounted for about 40% of our total claims experience last year. And then the second page that Mr. Marshall had asked me to come up with, this is an account that we have implemented since January the 1st. It's a little bit larger than you guys, but similar in size. It is a governmental entity. The first quarter totals, their claims for 2012 was $551,000. For 2013, first quarter was $374,000. They do fund Benny cards just as you do. Benny card spending went from $329,000 to $267,000, which their overall claims paid was down $204,000, and their Benny card spending was down $64,000. So they had a $268,000 positive effect here. Now, I'm not saying that's all because of Medicare was implemented. However, there was 167 visits in the first quarter and 189 prescriptions given at those visits. So the scripts are included in the visit. So when they come out and do the visit, they assess the patient's needs, treat them, and then leave them with generic prescriptions. Okay, and that's all covered in the fee. So it is having a tremendous positive effect on this account. Any questions there on that?
How long has this company been in business?
Actually, I have Dr. Shally Daniel, who is the owner of the company here. I was going to introduce him. I do.
Sorry, what was your question?
How long have y'all been in business?
About 3 years.
Dr. Shelley.
Dr. Shalley Daniel.
Need an address for the record, please.
5326 Oak Street, St. Francisville, Louisiana.
So about 3 years, and how many municipalities or governmental agencies are y'all providing this service to right now?
I couldn't tell you exactly. I would guess probably two.
Mike, we just went full force with this January. Doc's been putting this together, but it's just full force. We ramped up everything for January 1. So it really just got started January 1st. But the company, again, has been rolling.
But you have, now your question was governmental entities. You have other clients that are not governmental entities.
We do. I think company-wide, the last number, backing up, I think 67 companies we service. Probably one of the bigger ones you're aware of is Turner Industries. That's a client of ours.
We did something not the same, but similar, and we had a real bad experience. Well, we had no experience. But
I don't know if we've ever had a company. Yeah, I don't know if we've ever had a company not re-up. We're glad to give you references, whatever we could do there. But
We do have 3 accounts now in the parish. They're all doing very well. 2 of those are municipalities. There's no comparison as to the last
I understand.
situation to this one.
So is this contractual, what's the length of the contract?
We typically ask for a 12-month contract, but it's a month-to-month.
Month-to-month?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To make the investment in the nurse practitioner that will service the area, things like that, we like to do it for 1 year, but it is a month-to-month. So if you come dissatisfied, certainly you could opt out of the contract.
You have, I know it's hard to pinpoint an exact service time, but do you have a goal? When someone calls, how long does it take to be seen?
we do. We guarantee all calls that day will be seen if they call in before 3 p.m. We try very hard to make those same-day calls after 3 p.m., but we don't guarantee that.
Service is 8 to 8, 365. So it's every day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And this is emergencies too? Let's say
Well, depending on what the severity of the injury
let's
is.
say my daughter falls off a bike and scrapes up her leg and she needs to be cleaned up, maybe stitches.
Yes.
Minor injuries, stitches, yeah. Loss of consciousness, head injury. We're not your cardiologist. We're not your endocrinologist, but
Chest pain,
routine
you still
health.
go to emergency.
That's correct.
And there'll be lots of like local services, and I just want to make it known that I work for a medical practice, so some of the things that immediate care does are things that we do in our practice. So obviously that's somewhat of a conflict of interest for me, so I just want to make sure that it's disclosed. And this is some of the concerns that we were talking about is, and I had a chance to review some of this with Henry and looked at some of the other agents that working in the industry, and one of the things that we were talking about was the repeat of the referrals after visits. So in other words, immediate care comes out, sees a patient, and the patient still has to see their physician, and that number is somewhere in the 20 to 25%, which when you look at that, if that patient still has to see their physician, does that mean that their costs in essence can go up? Because now they're going to pay the $35 one way or the other. And then they have to still go see a physician because the service provided by immediate care with the medical provider was not adequate or couldn't diagnose the problem substantially. And they'll still have to see an MD, which would then require their cost to be.
I went back and tried to do a little research on that, Councilman, and what I found out was with our current client in the parish, typically those referrals are not occurring that often. What happens is they call immediate care back generally, and on that follow-up visit, they're not charged for it.
And that's fine. I mean, I just want to make sure we understand that, because that's something that could potentially be a cost for the employee. And then I was just really, maybe you can answer this question for us. I was really concerned about the dispensing of medication and potentially, I don't know what the laws are for the city of Hammond as relates to prescribed medication that's not marked. Like, I know in some cases, if you've been prescribed medication, it has to have your name on the bottle and all those things. If you have it without that, then it could potentially be an issue, especially when we have exposure to medications in the workplace that's not marked or identified. How do y'all address that?
We don't use any controlled substances, first of all. We don't use any high risk or any controlled substances. The Board of Nursing has very specific guidelines about what a nurse practitioner can distribute. They don't dispense. They can only distribute medicines that are prepackaged by licensed board-certified pharmacists. That's all we do, is those generic medicines that fit in that category.
But any prescribed medication, whether it's narcotics or level 2 or whatever, isn't it by law required that if you have a prescription for a medication that you, let's say for instance, Councilman Blunt had prescription and I took his prescription, would that be, and it was on the desk or whatever, and I took it, would that be like against the law?
I would leave that between you and Councilman Blunt. Anytime we distribute medicines, you run that liability, and those are things we run.
So how do y'all manage that? I mean, and that's what we're wondering. How do y'all manage that in the course of these clients?
We do have a program. I work very closely with our nurse practitioners and our clients that we see on, their calls. Oh, Allison Dazio, 8658 Quarters Lake Road, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70809.
Allison is our service rep for the accounts.
Yeah. We do have a protocol with our, we have labels. Their name is on it. The directions are on those. So there's no, it would clearly be marked with Mr. Blunt's name on it, and there wouldn't be a.
Well, that answers the question, because I think when we talked the other day.
Yeah, no worry. We do have a protocol set up for that.
That's good. That's good to know.
Henry, I have one more question.
Yes.
The city's paying their employees $25.
That's correct.
Per month, so they still, if they choose, can visit the regular doctor and use the billing card.
That's correct.
So there's
This is not any type of mandatory program for the employee. They certainly have the choice to go wherever they wish. Okay, and that was a concern with our other account, that the employees would not take advantage of it. However, they have fully embraced it and took way more advantage than we thought. So I mean, they're on pace for almost 800 visits in a year, so which is taking 800 visits away from the insurance payments.
I know personally, if I'm homesick and I just don't feel good, cold, and someone's going to come to me.
Well, I personally am on it and used it, and actually, the mayor came into my office one day, and the door was shut, and I came out, and the nurse followed me. So I just gotten my shot for my cold.
I got a couple other questions.
Okay.
This really probably relates, is for Loretta more so than for you, Henry. I know when we talked, there was some potential policy changes that would need to be made. Like a question was, if the employee calls immediate care and immediate care comes to the workplace, is that employee on the clock? Is that employee off the clock? If that employee has a waiting period after they've been treated, are we paying the employee? Are we not paying the employee? If the employee has to go home because they've been prescribed a medication that makes it you can't drive, what's the liability of the city at that point? Those are some questions that we talked about. Have we looked at those, Loretta, and discussed those in any more detail since that meeting?
No, but we are going to address them in our city policy and in some ways. So once this gets up and going, we will address that issue.
I would just make sure that we really, I encourage you to get those things addressed, and if anybody has any other questions about that, because those are critical questions to know. There's a person that come to work, and instead of using their sick time, they can come to work and get treated at work. If they use their sick time, or they just on the clock being paid. I think those are valid things to look at to make sure that we understand how that's going to work.
Also wanted to mention that if an employee wants to cover their dependents, they can do that also. Okay, so the dependent cost would be, for an employee plus one is just $25, two or more is $50, and then three or more is $63. And they could take advantage of the services also, the dependents. The dependents do not have to have medical insurance to get on the plan. Those premiums would just be payroll deducted just as any other benefit would. So if they want to do that. No, ma'am. It's up to them if they want to enroll in the plan or not.
Any other questions? Comments from the public? It's the pleasure of the council.
Make motion approved.
Oh, sorry. Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Abstain.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, item number 4, resolution approving Crime Stoppers of Tangipahoa Incorporated to sell beer and receive a waiver of the City of Hammond's open container law for the second Poker Run registration party being held September 27, 2013, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Hammond Harley-Davidson located at 1530 Southwest Railroad Avenue, Hammond, Louisiana, 70403.
Hi, thank you for having me. Do I need to elaborate on what I need, or is it pretty self-explanatory?
Just refresh the council again about what's going on. Maybe they've forgotten since last year.
We are holding our second Poker Run fundraiser, and it's going to be held in conjunction with Night Out Against Crime this year, which is on September 28th. So on September 27th, we're having a pre-registration party with the Hammond Harley-Davidson. So bikers are invited to attend from 6 to 8. Go ahead and sign up to participate the next morning in the Poker Run. And it's a fundraiser for Crime Stoppers. We'll support the community safety programs that Jody oversees now.
Any questions? Any public questions, comments on this item? Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
What's your address, please?
Yes.
111 Shaladen Place, Hammond, Louisiana, 70403.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And are you the same Jenny that came for Holy Ghost?
I might be. It depends. It depends if you're going to be mad at me or not. Thank y'all so much.
See you later.
Number 5, a resolution approving Hammond Regional Arts Center to receive a waiver of the City of Hammond's open container law for the annual Brews Arts beer tasting fundraiser to take place in the alley behind 217 East Thomas Street, Hammond, Louisiana, 70401. And that is Morrison Park, for those who don't know. Mike Kilgore, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mike, refresh the council on what goes on with this. I know some of them may not remember, so.
Brews Art Festival is Hammond Regional Arts Center's annual beer tasting fundraiser. We get beer contributed from various vendors. We have a small arts market with artists selling artwork and crafts at some of our tents. Then we have food and music, and it's a fundraiser for the Hammond Regional Arts Center.
Any questions? Public questions or comments?
1436 Josephine Street, Apartment 10, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70130.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
Motion to approve.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
All right, Mike, good job.
Thank you.
Number 6, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Hammond and the City Court of Hammond Marshal's Office for the donation of surplus vehicle to be given to the Marshal's Office for serving of truancy paper for the Tangipahoa Parish School System 2003 Dodge Durango. There's a VIN number on the agenda, unit number 559.
Mr. President, can I ask you a question? Sure. Just for information. Does the marshal's office service the entire parish, or is it just the city?
No,
Marty left, but
the
it's
service is Seventh Ward.
Seventh
It's
Ward.
from Hammond all the way down to the south of Fairmont.
Man Shack and that sort of.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Number 7, Resolution 1, approving the submission of an application to Delta Regional Authority for $50,000 to offer workforce development training. 2, agreeing to match the grant funds with $25,000 in-kind donation. And 3, authorizing the mayor to sign all grant-related documents. Lacey Lane.
This is an exciting project that we are actually going to be partnering with the Hammond Area Economic and Industrial Development District to offer workforce development training over the next year. All of the in-kind match is just time and space and resources that we already own and that Heidi already owns, and some of the other partners that are involved with this grant.
Any questions on this item?
Lacey, who will be offering the workforce training?
That is still under discussion right now, but the training is going to focus on soft skills development, so effective customer service, understanding workplace culture, time management skills, effective decision-making, some of those things that just aren't taught in school and aren't taught at a technical college or in a certification program, that kind of thing. So
Is this grant approved? The resolution allows the mayor to do the, are we going to have a contract identified
yes,
before we,
absolutely.
will that come back to the council for?
Yes, absolutely. This is just to approve the submission of the application and to approve the in-kind match. And then if we are indeed awarded, we'll come back to approve the contract award with Delta Regional, and then we would come again to approve any kind of cooperative endeavor agreements that we make with Heidi or with other partners.
Motion to approve.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay. Number 8, Resolution 1, approving the submission of an application for $28,757 in Justice Assistance Grant funds to purchase law enforcement equipment for the Hammond Police Department, and 2, authorizing the mayor to sign all grant-related documents. Lacey?
This is our annual allocation that we receive from the federal government through the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and it goes towards general law enforcement police equipment. In the past, we've purchased investigations equipment or other evidence management equipment. The allocation of funds, the $28,757, comes based on your population and on your crime statistics.
This is just for submission.
That is correct. It is not authority to purchase anything or to move forward.
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Number 9, a resolution to purchase InterGov software form. Should be that from? Yeah, from Tyler Technologies. Tyler is the sole developer, implementer of this software. Cost $84,093 to include services, system, software, and maintenance. This is to be paid over a 3-year period. Mr. Peters.
This is a resolution to make this purchase from Tyler, who is the developer and implementer of this software, and we bring it to you because it had come through purchasing office and we had to get information. But if there are questions or any details needed, we'll be back Sammy and Josh to come so that they can give you whatever details you need.
Now, if I remember right from the budget session, this was discussed a little bit. This is basically a lease to purchase, and there is, or we're financing it, I should say, and with 0%.
0% for 3 years. The payments are going to be $40,000 out of this fiscal year, split between Josh and Nash's departments, building and planning. The next year will be $29,999,
split also between those departments, and the last year is the remainder is like $15,700 something.
Any questions?
Do we have a strategy in there? I know when we talked at the session, I know we talked about this today, Sam, the additional components that were intriguing that, for the code enforcement component of the whole technology change, are we going to aggressively work to get that in there as well?
Absolutely. We have the code enforcement side of
I
it.
think he's talking about
The mobile, it's just a mobile app, yeah.
Right, the mobile app, so that we can use that for,
Correct.
to help our code enforcement out who are in the field, dealing with all these different grass ordinances and that type of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Where is that in the process, and how realistic is it for us to have that?
I think it's very realistic. This year we had 40,000 that we were able to shift into this right now. Next year it's at 30, so you're looking at a $5,000 add-on now.
For what was like $6,000.
Yeah, so $6,000. I would reasonably think that we could find that next year. So
We can find it even sooner. The sooner the better, I imagine. How much beneficial would it be if you were able to get the whole package?
I think it'd be very beneficial. It's just a matter of finding the dollars to do it. So
And what's that amount going to be? Do you think to bring the other add-on?
I don't have the quote with me, but the other add-on is per license. So per user, it's $999, and then there's a maintenance cost that you pay ongoing, plus an implementation cost. We weren't going to buy it because we didn't have the funds for it, so we didn't go further other than knowing what the basic cost is. There's a hidden cost in that, and that's that you need equipment. You have to buy a tablet computer to take. Each person's going to need their own, so you're looking at about another $1,000 a piece for those. You have a wireless connection that you have to have on that tablet. That's another $50 a month. So it's going to cost, and I guess what I want to point out is the tablets are great. They're great, and I wish we could get them, but we have software that's going to break if we don't fix it, so that's why we bid off the smaller portion and get them functioning, and then we can tackle that stuff. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, with getting all these fancy things that will improve productivity and efficiency before we get a system that works. So that's kind of why we did that way.
Okay.
Pleasure of the council.
So moved. Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you, guys.
Number 10, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with entities throughout the parish to receive and maintain 38 automated external defibrillators as part of the Tangipahoa Public Access to Defibrillation Program.
That's bad.
Say that 3 times.
I know. I should call you, and you should be on the conference calls for this grant. It's a disaster half the time. This is our grant that enabled us to purchase 72 defibrillators, just like the one sitting over there on the wall. And we've actually partnered with. So far, we have 38 entities that are willing to accept the devices and use the devices. We have been working throughout our community and throughout really the lower part of the Tangipahoa Parish, but also in Amite just a little bit, to find entities who are willing to take on a device and to have at least 2 folks in their entity trained in CPR AED. So we have, to date, I think, trained about 56 people. We have 50 to 60 waiting that we've already scheduled classes for that we're moving through. And then we have about 20 devices that we are still in talks with several entities that have been located. So,
Any questions?
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
thank you.
Okay. Final adoption of ordinance. Number 1, final adoption of an ordinance for donation of surplus vehicle to be given to the marshal's office for serving of truancy paper for the Tangipahoa Parish School System. 1 2003 Dodge Durango. VIN number is attached on the agenda. Unit number 559.
Motion.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Number 2, final adoption of an ordinance to authorize a waiver of the ordinance number 2000-2692 city statute for the fiscal year 2013-2014 for employees as follows. Employees with service from 1 to 20 years, a 2% salary increase. Employees working from 21 to 30 years, a 1% salary increase. Employees working over 30 years, and employees earning more than $75,000, a 1% increase.
So moved.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Number 3, final adoption of an ordinance to adopt the City of Hammond budget for the fiscal year 2013-2014 in accordance with procedures set within Section 5-03 of the City of Hammond Charter.
Mr. President, do we have to include all of the recommendations that the mayor read earlier, or is that?
No,
is
sir,
that
that's,
automatically in there?
that is in the amended consolidated budget that should be in your box if you have that.
So it's what's been submitted with those changes.
With those changes. Do we have to say that in the,
The motion
Yeah,
needs to
the
include
motion
as
is included.
submitted with the changes.
do we need to amend the motion? So I would move that we adopt the budget with the recommended changes that the mayor read at during the public hearing tonight.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, introduction of ordinance and set public hearing. Number 1, introduction of an ordinance to approve an expanded conditional use request by Leander and Sierra Alexander applicant and JJ LLC owner to allow placement of a mobile home meeting all code requirements on Lot 10, Block 6 of Barber's Addition located at 602 2nd Avenue, Zone R4, ECU 2013-5-1. Josh.
It's an ECU. They're asking to place a mobile home. I'm saying Councilman Martin's district, meeting all the requirements, meeting the year of the trailer, so forth. They're just asking for an ECU for the trailer.
Motion introduced.
What was the recommendation?
It was recommended to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
He stepped out.
Oh.
I think he said aye.
I think it's aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion to introduce approved. Public hearing will be held on July 2nd, 2013.
Okay. 2, introduction of an ordinance to approve a rezoning request by Gary and Joanne Sandifer to rezone Lot 19A of the French Quarter subdivision from B2 to B1 located at 1112 General Jackson Drive, case number RZ 2013-5-1.
Mr. Sanford came in and actually had to get a variance for his building. And in the variance, the planning commission asked if he would consider rezoning because his house is right across the street from residents.
It's an office, huh?
It is. And so to ensure that it would always stay in office, they asked him to rezone to B1, which is a much more stricter district, a more strict district, giving the residents there some peace of mind. So it was a unanimous recommendation to approve.
Motion.
Go ahead, Mike.
Motion introduced.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion to introduce approved. Public hearing will be held on July 2nd, 2013.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, introduction of an ordinance to set official holidays for the City of Hammond for the fiscal year 2013-14 for non-civil service employees: Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Good Friday, and Memorial Day.
Motion introduced.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion to introduce approved. Public hearing will be held July 2nd, 2013.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye.
Right.